I have the same feedback. The feeling that I get from people in government at the highest levels is that there is a concern, but there is no panic. We've done the mathematics a lot of these tariffs don't apply on most of our exports. So we've done the mathematics, the hole that we'll probably need to fill, the companies that we'll probably need to help out. We are going to have to help them out for sure. We've done the FTA with the UK. You know what? How this is helping? The India-EU trade agreement, which could not be signed. It's been literally it's been my lifetime that we've been working on it. Okay, and I just turned 40. It is being fast tracked like never before. I have never seen almost all the senior delegates of the European Union travel to India before together. They are generally strong critics because Europe is also divided on its position on India. They are working at the fastest possible pace. We struck a free trade agreement with Britain under a Labour government, which would have been inconceivable, at a very rapid pace. That happened last month. So some good is coming off it. Good comes sometimes out of crises. Let me come back to Professor Mahajan. Professor Mahajan, so there is some realignment which goes beyond rhetoric as other countries figure out, and their concern is that, okay, if we take a hit on our exports to the American markets, we need to find alternative trading partners, and they are trying to get that going. But is there a fundamental logic shift in the Bretton Woods systems, in the WTO not being able to manage it with America at its helm? Are we seeing a fundamental shift that others are now becoming champions? The Chinese are the champions of free trade and not the Americans, however ironical that might sound.
Yeah, well, I mean, the drama is unfolding in front of our eyes. Rishabh, I just want to say a couple of things. One, Peter Navarro's comments should not be taken too seriously. It was a provocative comment and he succeeded. Frankly, he's getting more attention here than he gets from Trump's cabinet. They try to avoid him. And I think not much should be said in his stuff. His academic credentials also are not necessarily very stellar. That's one thing I want to say. The other thing I do want to say is that from my perspective, SCO is an organization without a known purpose. It just happens that the meeting happened at a time when many people could win from it. I don't think Prime Minister Modi would have attended it in normal course, but he did to signal something to the United States that we have options. I think President Putin clearly utilized it for his benefit as a world statesman after being red carpeted in Alaska by President Trump. And President Xi Jinping, for him, it's a showcase. So I don't see it as an entity with a known purpose other than to push for BRI and other agendas which China might have.
You're right.
And I think it was a good opportunity that Prime Minister Modi utilized it. The other thing I want to say is I'm not sure why Pakistan enters the conversation every time so much. I thought we were trying to de-hyphenate ourselves from Pakistan, and then we go out of the way to re-hyphenate ourselves to them. I think they should just be ignored. That is really what they deserve to be.
You know, on that thought, Professor Mahajan, 15, 20 years ago when I started this, we used to discuss Pakistan every day. It was a national obsession, and you understand why it was a national obsession. And I've seen that change happen in the past 3 or 4 years, where what is happening in Pakistan is seen from a distance because India has moved on. The Pakistanis are finding it difficult to move on. But as much as we try to move on, in this case, the rehyphenation has happened because of Donald Trump. Because he thinks he mediated peace, and he had Munir sitting in the White House after cancelling a meeting with Modi. So I agree with you in terms of economic scale. Pakistan got a $2 billion IMF loan last month, and that was crucial to them to prevent a debt default. India's foreign exchange reserves are $700 billion. There is no comparison anymore. So I agree with you. Finish your thoughts, sir, before I get the others in.
Yeah, so, coming back to the issue at hand, yes, there is going to be a realignment. It's a very fluid thing right now. I think one thing Trump has done is forced all nations to do some serious introspection. Canada, which always thought it was a friend of the United States, is having thoughts again. European Union, same thing. Same with India. And I think all that is good. All that is good because countries are looking inwards, in particular India, and recalibrating and saying what is in our best interest. Now, I will say one thing, sitting in Texas, that I really have admired the cabinet which Prime Minister Modi has put together. I mean, they are a group of incredibly talented people, which I have not seen a better lot than this, and very strategic in their focus. Now, what I would say and what I would wish happens from this, while the realignment is taking place, is that this introspection really results in some very fundamental changes. These changes can be painful in the short run, but if India really wants to be a player on the global stage, it needs to clean its own house completely.
Absolutely.
And we have imperfections, we have inefficiencies in the system, which are not allowing us to optimally utilize the resources which we have, which nature has endowed us with.
Absolutely correct. So India, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest exporter of mobile phones in the world. But we assemble the mobile phones, we don't manufacture them. And I was pointing this out yesterday. Here's a mobile phone in my hand. Okay. So let's deconstruct it. What are the critical components of a mobile phone? The first is the screen. It's not manufactured in India. All screens, including those of the iPhone, are manufactured by Samsung. Okay. It has a domination on screens. The second critical component are the chipsets, including the communication chipsets, of which Qualcomm gets a license for every phone sold in the world because they own the IP for the chipsets. And the third is the battery, in this case a lithium ion battery. If you deconstruct the battery, you need lithium. Now, we've just started 4 months ago the first lithium mine ever in India, in Chhattisgarh. We are doing lithium prospecting because a large part of global lithium comes from places like Peru, from Xinjiang, and guess what is next to Xinjiang? It's called Ladakh. Okay. So yes, you can have a conversation on whether you want to do mining in Ladakh or not, but it is probably there. So when we say that this will one day become a made in India iPhone, which is being sold in America right now, from assembled in India iPhone, which means you can make the screen, the chipset. So the first chipset factories and the first reasonably low nanometer chipsets. I'm not saying 3, but if you get down to 10 or 20 nanometers, you can manufacture what you need for these electronic items. Are going to be built in India for the first time. For the first time. Okay. The good thing that has come out of the Trump tariffs is it has forced our government to look at the largest indirect tax cut ever. It's not a joke. That's permanent. The Trump tariffs may or may not be permanent. That's permanent. That's going to stay with us. And that's going to be an excellent thing. It will simplify GST in India from 4+1 rates to just 2. Things like FMCG goods, your cars, your washing machines are immediately next month going to become 10% cheaper. 10% cheaper is a lot cheaper in a market which is, of course, price sensitive. So these things do add up. So before I go to the rest, Professor Mahajan, in a sense, is there a contrarian argument? Is there a contrarian argument to say that we also all agree that the UN systems, the Bretton Woods systems, the existing NATO and all the other existing alliances and blocs, that these are also reflecting a reality 30, 40, 50, 80 years ago, and maybe Trump is doing everyone a favor by completely shaking up everything from NATO to WTO, and it requires a reset, and in a very Kissingerish fashion, that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the 1946 Bretton Woods system is totally dated. The balance of power at that time is very different than what it is today. If you look at the fraction of GDP of the countries which have the veto power compared to those which do not, has changed dramatically. Over time, voting rights of countries like India and China, which they have been demanding, a bigger seat on the table, have been increasing in the World Bank, on the IMF, etc. But clearly, the countries which hold the veto power, while they provide lip service that they would like to have India in that August group, other than China, everyone else has. The fact of the matter is, none of them want to, unless they have to. And clearly, Bretton Woods system is dated. A new system is needed. Powers need to be shared and restructured. And the process through which the restructuring takes place is always not very pretty. When the pound sterling lost being the reserve currency and the dollar became the reserve currency, very sharp elbows had come out. It was not a streamlined process. So change on the global scale is always messy. It requires some hard knocks, at times wars, etc. But hopefully none of that is required. For India, it needs to put its head down. And frankly, there's a list of things it really needs to focus on. I think our external affairs are being managed quite well, but our internal system, especially on reforms, ease of doing business, state-center relationship as far as harmonizing regulation and unifying the digital system, scrapping outdated laws, some of that has already occurred, diversifying markets, EU, ASEAN, South America, labor laws, big problem. Need to ease hiring and firing of workers. I understand it's a political issue. Interest in education, opening up education to foreign competition. I visit IITs, IIMs regularly, and I think we need more of real fundamental R&D taking place. Tourism, medical, and cultural, a lot of opportunities, and especially finally, technology funding, R&D, startups, VC, semiconductors, rare earths, quantum computing. I think this is time when India starts focusing on these very fundamental things. Some people just ignoring the outside world, leaving it to Jai Shankars and party, and focusing on these fundamental things.
I completely agree with you. And that's
ramming through changes is going to be painful, including in agriculture. And I think if we can do that, I think India is on its way.
Okay, we are already on our way. We'll be the world's third largest economy by sometime next year, but that's still only about $5 trillion. So you're looking at the Chinese at about 19 or 20 and the Americans closer to 30. So that's 4x and 6x. And that's where you want to be. Professor Mahajan, thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us. Let me take the opportunity to quickly